It started with the smell of pine and fresh ground coffee, my morning ritual down here on the dock. I'm George Thorne, 65, retired, and this place, Whispering Point, is my sanctuary. Or, at least, it was my sanctuary. You see, they sent a wrecking crew to flatten the dockside workshop Eleanor and I built, claiming I hadn't paid their fees. Only there's a small, tiny problem with their plan. I'm not in their homeowners association. And my entire family are federal agents. They came in with heavy machinery and arrogance, thinking they could steamroll some old man and steal his waterfront view. But they accidentally targeted the wrong family, a family whose business is making sure people like them go to jail. Drop a comment below right now and tell me what's the worst HOA story you've ever heard. Because I guarantee mine is about to top it. I was 3 sips into my cup. Watching the mist roll off the water, the kind of stillness that used to calm Eleanor's soul when I saw it. It was a bright, angry yellow notice, not taped, but nailed right into the cedar siding of the little workshop we spent 3 summers finishing. That act alone, driving a thick-headed nail into my life's work, felt like a violation before. I even read the words. The header screamed, Whispering Point Estates Homeowners Collective. And, underneath, in bold, aggressive print. Final notice, unpaid dues. Demolition scheduled. The amount was ridiculously specific. $11,740.26. It listed phantom violations. Non-compliant dock footprint. Unapproved exterior stain color. The whole thing was garbage. My land, purchased free and clear by my father in '58, sits a good quarter-mile outside their manicured little subdivision. I never signed a single paper. I called the number, expecting a quick, apologetic clerical fix. A woman answered, her voice syrupy sweet, dripping with fake concern. Whispering Point, this is Ronnie Vance. I explained it politely. Ma'am, I believe you have the wrong person. I'm George Thorne, and my property is not, and never has been, part of your association. She made a theatrical sigh, like I was wasting her precious time. Oh, Mr. Thorne. Yes, I have your file right here. You are significantly behind on your payments, sir. You don't understand, Ronnie, I said, my voice hardening slightly. The county plat map confirms my boundary line is outside your jurisdiction. Then came the rehearsed line. Well, our records show your parcel was officially annexed 6 weeks ago, following a community majority vote. I'm sure you received the paperwork. She followed it up with a condescending coo. Don't you worry your head, though. I'll flag this as a potential mix-up. I'm sure it will be all fixed before any crew arrives. It was the way she said annex so slick, so practiced, that told me I wasn't dealing with an error. I was dealing with a lie. The next morning, the mist was replaced by the low, grating rumble of heavy diesel. I walked to the window and my blood ran cold. A massive flatbed truck, carrying a yellow backhoe with its hydraulic arm folded up like a predator, was parked on my gravel drive. A foreman in an orange vest, his face like worn granite, approached my porch. George Thorne, he grunted. That's me. Ted, Apex Wrecking. We have orders to take down the workshop. Pay the certified check for $12 grand, or the machine starts. He spoke without malice, just tired efficiency. He was just a mercenary, a tool. I stared at that machine, realizing Ronnie's sweet voice was nothing but a smokescreen for this 10-ton instrument of destruction. I told Ted I needed to make a phone call, locked the deadbolt behind me, and walked to my office. Arguing with him was useless. I needed someone who dealt with predators. I called my oldest, Maya, Special Agent Thorne, FBI Financial Crimes Unit. She picked up on the first ring, her voice immediately sharp. Dad, you okay? What's going on? I explained the whole play, the notice, the call, the backhoe 20 feet from my porch. When I finished, the slight strain in her voice was replaced by a chilling calm. That's when I knew I wasn't talking to my daughter anymore. I was talking to the United States government. "Dad, listen carefully," she commanded. "Do not speak to that man again. Go to every window, photograph everything, the truck, the plate, the foreman. Get the timestamp on. Then you go to your file cabinet. The original deed, the latest tax bill, the survey for the workshop. Take a picture of every single page. Every one. Email them to me now." The fear was gone, replaced by the familiar discipline of a checklist. I was an engineer. I understand procedure. Then, she continued, you drive to the county clerk's office. You ask for a certified copy of the official plat map for your parcel. Don't look at it, don't argue, just get the official copy. That paper is our shield. I love you. Now do it. Click. I spent the next hour documenting my own impending destruction. I zoomed in on the foreman, Ted, leaning against his truck, smoking and looking bored. A perfect shot for a courtroom photo display. I photographed Eleanor's old blueprints, the ironclad deed from 1962, the clear, undeniable survey showing my boundary hundreds of yards from their little kingdom. When I got to the county clerk's office, the map appeared on the swivel screen. I saw the lake, my parcel, and the thick, black line marking the HOA. And there it was, the truth, indisputable, right there on a government computer. My property was utterly outside their control. I watched the clerk print it, stamp it with a satisfying clunk, and sign it. This wasn't just paper. It was evidence. I was driving home, that certified map on the passenger seat like a trophy, when Maya called back, her voice grim. "Dad, it's not a mistake. It's a target." She'd run a quick background check. Mara Vance, or Ronnie as she calls herself, has a history. She finds a property she wants, always lake access, always adjacent to an HOA she controls. Then a subtly altered map is filed. The community vote she mentioned. She forged it. As I pulled back into my driveway, the backhoe was gone. But another man in a collared shirt stood near the tree line, holding a long telephoto lens, pointing it right at my living room window. He was documenting my violations from a distance. The realization hit me like a block of ice. They weren't gone. They were just getting started. This was targeted harassment meant to crush me. And then the cavalry arrived. First, a black sedan, moving with the quiet precision of an operator. Maya. She gave me a hug, her eyes already sweeping the property. Then, 2 more cars. My boys, Leo, my middle son, stepped out of the first D Tactical. 38 years old, all silent intensity. He just nodded, his eyes already checking the perimeter, the tree line. Then Finn, my youngest, IRS criminal investigation. He bounced out with restless energy, a confident, slightly mischievous grin. Wire fraud, Dad, mail fraud. This Ronnie lady is stepping into a big, fat, federal mess, Finn announced, already pulling out his laptop. My old kitchen table, the one where they did homework as kids, became a command center. Maya laid out my certified map, the ground truth, and next to it, the fraudulent map Ronnie had filed. Finn laid a ruler across both. The line had been subtly nudged exactly 200 feet north, just enough to swallow my entire lakefront. "She didn't just move a line," Leo rumbled. "She stole your land on paper." Then Finn produced the community vote. He'd already highlighted 3 signatures. Frank Miller, died in 2018. Joan Peterson, stroke, 2020. Carl Beasley, moved to Arizona 10 years ago. My friends, people who helped me shingle the roof. Mara hadn't just forged signatures, she'd used the memory of my old neighbors to do it. That's a special kind of evil, as we were processing the sheer audacity of the paper trail. I heard the telltale rattle of the mail slot. A crisp white envelope from the HOA, hand-delivered. No stamp. My hands were steady as I opened it. Second notice, the original $12,000 crossed out. New total, $23,480.52. They'd added a $10,000 fine for non-compliant exterior paint code. The same brown stain it's been for 30 years. They were just making it up as they went, trying to bury me in pressure. The next morning, the fight came back with a vengeance. 5:30 a.m., still dark. A huge bang and the screech of tortured metal jolted me out of bed. I rushed to the window and saw the taillights of a truck pulling away. It had left something behind. A massive 30-yard construction dumpster, dropped squarely at the end of my driveway, blocking access completely. Not just my car, but any fire truck or ambulance. A spray-painted sign on its rusty side read, "Property of Whispering Point. Debris removal." They were calling my life debris. Leo stood at the window, arms crossed, face like granite. "They're trying to box you in, Dad. Make you feel helpless." But I wasn't helpless. I was documenting. I showed Finn my routine. Notes app, 5:32 a.m. Dumpster dropped, blocking driveway. Then the photos with timestamp enabled. No jargon, just facts. Finn cracked a sly smile and looked at the name on the latest notice. Chet Hollis, the treasurer. Let's see if Mr. Hollis wants to talk about his debris. He called the HOA number and put it on speaker. Chet Hollis answered, gruff and sleepy. "You pay the fine, it gets sorted out. Simple." Finn, playing the worried son, spoke, his voice wavering slightly. "We just want this to stop. My dad's an old man. We're thinking he should just sell the place and move." The line went silent for a beat. Then Chet's voice, dripping with smug satisfaction. "Well now, that's the smartest thing I've heard all day. To be honest with you, kid, we'll make it so he wants to sell. It'll be a lot cheaper for him in the long run." Finn's eyes met mine across the table. Caught him. Direct admission of harassment with the intent to force a sale. Maya, who had been silently typing, declared, "That's extortion, Dad. Combined with the mail and wire fraud, that's a federal case." But she wasn't ready to play that card. Not yet. We would beat them using their own local rulebook first. She drafted a cease and desist letter so precise it felt ironclad. An hour later, the county sheriff arrived, looked at the dumpster, and shook his head in disgust. He walked over to the HOA's entrance and handed the letter to Ronnie Vance, who emerged from her perfect house, her face a mask of polite concern. The moment she read it, the sugary charm vanished, replaced by a flash of pure, unadulterated fury. 20 minutes later, the dumpster was gone. Small victory. But that night, my phone buzzed. A neighbor, shaken, urged me to check the HOA's Facebook page. There it was, a photo of my cabin taken by the man with the telephoto lens, under a public notice of noncompliance, tagging me by name. Digital Stockades. She was trying to isolate and shame me. It backfired, though. My neighbors started calling. They fined me $500 because my garden gnome wasn't in harmony with the natural woodland setting. One woman cried. My welcome mat was half an inch too wide, another whispered, trembling with anger. Ronnie had shown her hand not just to me, but to the entire community. Maya filed a FOIA request of freedom of information. Act demand for the HOA's last 5 years of financial filings. They had to comply. A week later, she was knee-deep in spreadsheets on the kitchen table, fueled by my coffee. Around 4 p.m., she let out a long, low whistle. Found it, she said. She pointed to a budget summary. A line item for general contracting and site management had paid out over $200,000 with no receipts. She dug into the business registry. The recipient: Vance Contracting. The sole proprietor: Ronnie Vance's brother. The bogus fines, the harassment hit, wasn't just about power. It was to cover the giant holes in the budget left by the money she was funneling directly to her family. The next day, my garage became a secret war room. My boys and I met with Bill and Cheryl and a young guy fined for the color of his kid's tricycle. We laid out the evidence: the forged map, Chet's recorded confession, the financial records proving embezzlement. We had them. We were going to file a collective complaint and demand their charter be revoked. Feeling solid, I drove to the hardware storage for some supplies, a normal Saturday errand. I was gone maybe 2 hours. As I turned onto my road, I heard it, a buzzing, angry sound. A chainsaw, my heart seized. I rounded the final bend, and where the dockside workshop had stood for 30 years, where Eleanor and I had spent our happiest summers, there was only a pile of splintered wood. They had moved with brutal, efficient speed while I was away. I stumbled out of my truck, my legs weak. Ted, the foreman, wouldn't look at me. He just motioned for his crew to leave. Then my neighbor, Bill, came running. "Tom, I'm so sorry." And Tom, something else. After the crew left, a pickup came. Ronnie's nephew. He loaded all the good lumber. The old-growth cedar. Said it was salvage. They hadn't just destroyed my property. They had looted the very bones of my past. I sat down on the edge of the ruined dock, staring at the raw, gaping wound. The fight just went out of me. They had won. Hadn't just torn down a building. They had torn down a memory. My kids found me there. They didn't offer empty comforts. They just stood with me in silence. After a long time, Leo spoke, his voice low and hard, like gravel in a steel can. "That's it. The defensive posture is over. We stop reacting. We start acting." They had hurt their father. They had declared war on the wrong family. That night, the kitchen table wasn't for legal documents. It was for tactical planning. Leo took charge. She needs to feel in control. She destroyed the workshop. Now she'll be watching to make sure you don't dare rebuild. We're going to use that arrogance against her. We're going to bait her into walking into a trap she can't escape. The plan was simple, brilliant, and deeply satisfying. I went to the hardware store and bought a dozen. 2x4 seconds and a sheet of plywood, just enough to look like I was starting. I stacked the wood neatly on the ruined dock. Then I drew up fake blueprints for a new and improved workshop, adding notes like exceeds county code and reinforced foundation. I left the plans spread out on my workbench, clearly visible through the garage window. The invitation was set. While I handled the bait, Ray went to work. He installed 4 motion-activated cameras, no bigger than golf balls. One in a birdhouse, one under the garage eaves aimed at the blueprints, one tucked in a hedge bordering the property line, and one wide-angle shot from the back window. The feed went straight to their secure server. We would see anyone who set foot on my land. We waited 2 agonizing days. Squirrels, the UPS driver. Bill's golden retriever. Nothing. I started to think we'd overestimated her arrogance. Then, the third day, 11:30 a.m. Ping. Leo held up his phone. There she was. Ronnie Vance. She'd parked up the road and was walking down my driveway. Bold as you please, clipboard in hand, already snapping pictures of the stacked lumber. She walked right onto the dock, inspecting the scene of her crime, then turned directly toward the garage window, exactly as Leo predicted. She leaned in, trying to get a better look at the decoy plans. She was trespassing. We had her, just as Ronnie raised her phone to photograph the fake blueprints. I heard the low, silent roll of heavy tires on gravel. Not one car, 2. 2 black, unmarked SUVs, the kind that don't have hubcaps, pulled silently down the driveway, perfectly blocking her exit. The trap was sprung. Ronnie spun around, the smug, Proprietary look dissolving like sugar in hot water. Replaced by confusion, then outright panic. The doors of the lead SUV opened. 3 people stepped out. Dark suits, economical, precise movements. Federal agents. Maya stepped out of the second SUV. As the center of a hurricane. Ronnie's face flooded with indignant red. "What is the meaning of this?" she shrieked, her voice suddenly too high. "You are trespassing. This is private property." Maya walked toward her, stopping a few feet away, her voice perfectly level. "Ma'am, while you are currently trespassing on my father's property. That's genuinely the least of your concerns today." Just then, the county sheriff's cruiser pulled in behind the SUVs, and the sheriff himself, holding a sheath of papers, walked past us with 2 deputies, heading straight for Ronnie Vance's perfect house. He was serving the search warrants on her home and office at the exact same moment. Ronnie watched them go, her mouth agape. The illusion of her power had evaporated. Maya reached into her jacket and slowly, deliberately, pulled out her credentials. She held them open for Ronnie to see. "Veronica Jansen Vance," she said, her voice now the official, chill instrument of the United States government. "You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided for you." My daughter read the rights to the bully on the very spot her victim had built a life on the very debris pile of her crime. All the bluster drained away, leaving behind a hollowed-out woman who finally understood she had pushed the wrong person. The sharp, metallic click of the handcuffs was the loudest sound in the world. The case was a formality. They had the altered plat maps, the forged votes, Chet Hollis's recorded admission, and the financial records proving the brothers' phantom contracting company. The final nail in her coffin was an email Maya recovered that Ronnie had sent to Chet after my first call. It read, "The old man on the lake called. Stall him. Don't worry about the law. We are the law here." The judge, a known-sense woman who had clearly seen enough HOA tyrants, didn't just find Ronnie guilty. She made an example of her. She was convicted of conspiracy, wire fraud, and extortion. The restitution order was the final, beautiful blow. She ordered Ronnie to pay me $64,000 in personal damages and, even better, ordered the full and complete reconstruction of my dockside workshop to be paid for out of Ronnie's personal assets, not the HOA's funds. And the final, exquisite touch. The Lakeside Pines HOA board was immediately dissolved. Its charter revoked, placed under court-appointed receivership. Her kingdom was gone. A month later, a different kind of truck pulled into my driveway. New cedar, smelling of hope. My neighbors Bill, Cheryl, and the rest showed up with tool belts and coffee. We spent the weekend rebuilding the workshop. We weren't just putting up walls. We were rebuilding a community based on respect. Ronnie Vance learned the hard way that you can't vote against gravity. And you certainly can't fake your way out of the truth, especially when that truth is being enforced by a family of federal agents. Now, I want to know what you think. Was this too much? Should they have just sued her in civil court? Or was bringing the full power of the feds down on a local HOA a justified cinematic response to her criminal greed and the destruction of a man's memory? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories of justice served.